Ladies, let me tell you something real quick. See, most grown women are out here minding their business, working, taking care of life, living with class. And meanwhile, these young dudes, they got a whole different agenda. And the funny part is, 97% of older women don't even realize it when it's happening. You think he's being polite. You think he's being friendly. You think he just likes talking to mature women. No, ma'am. That boy is shooting his shot. And it usually starts with one simple question. A question so harmless, so soft, so smooth that you don't even notice what's going on. The question is, so do you always look this good, or is today special? Now look, that's not a compliment. That's not small talk. That boy is trying to enter the chat. See, young men today understand something. Older women don't play games. Older women know who they are. Older women got confidence, stability, peace, and trust me, that's attractive to any man who's tired of chaos. But older women, y'all don't recognize the signs because you're not expecting it. A boy will ask that question with a smile, look down like he's shy, raise his eyebrows just enough to look innocent. And boom, he just tested the waters. If you smile back, if you laugh, if you say, oh, stop it, oh, trust me, he's coming in stronger next time. Because men, young or old, we don't test what we don't want. We don't flirt with what we don't admire. And we definitely don't approach what we don't find attractive. So next time a young man asks you that question, don't be surprised. Don't be confused. Just understand, you're giving off energy that he can't ignore. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. It means you're radiant. It means you're confident. It means you're aging like fine wine, and he noticed. But ladies, just make sure you know what he's really asking. Because a question like that, that's not conversation. That's a mission. Most older women go through life with a calm confidence, a sense of maturity that comes only from experience, growth, and living through the kinds of storms younger people haven't even imagined yet. They wake up, handle their responsibilities, carry themselves with grace, and they don't expect attention to come from random places, especially not from younger men. But what they don't realize is that younger men notice them far more often than they think. And even more surprising, most older women completely miss the signs because the flirting doesn't show up the way they expect. See, older women assume that if a younger man is interested, he'll be direct, he'll be bold, he'll say something obvious. But young men today are smoother than that. They're subtle. They test the waters first just to see how she reacts because they know a confident woman won't entertain nonsense, and if she's not interested, she'll shut them down fast. So instead of coming with some dramatic line, they start with something small, something soft, something that sounds harmless. And that's exactly why most older women don't recognize it. A young man will walk up, maybe in a grocery store, maybe at work, maybe at a cafe, and he'll start with a question that seems simple. Do you always look this good, or is today special? It sounds playful, almost like he's complimenting her casually, but there's a hidden purpose behind it. That's not just a compliment. That's the moment he initiates contact. That question is his way of checking if the door is open or closed. Does she smile? Does she laugh? Does she brush it off? Does she look surprised that he said it? Her reaction tells him everything he needs to know. Older women think he's just being sweet or polite. They don't think he's flirting. They don't think he's attracted. They definitely don't think he's trying to hit on them. They just assume he's making conversation. But the truth is, a young man would never ask a question like that if he wasn't interested. Men do not compliment what they don't find attractive. Men do not flirt with what doesn't pull them in. And men definitely do not take the risk of embarrassing themselves unless there's something about that woman that made them stop and try. Young men today admire older women for a lot of reasons. They like the maturity, the emotional calm, the confidence that doesn't rely on anyone's approval. Older women don't create drama. They speak clearly. They know how to handle a conversation without losing themselves. And that kind of energy is incredibly attractive to someone who's tired of chaotic, unpredictable, shallow connections. But older women often don't think of themselves that way. They think they're invisible to younger men. They think youthfulness is the only thing men find attractive. They don't realize that their energy, their grace, wisdom, stability is exactly what stands out. So when a younger man approaches, they misread it as friendliness instead of flirtation. What makes this even more ironic is that younger men approach differently from older men. Younger men don't always try to dominate or impress. They try to charm. They try to seem harmless. They try to get a laugh, a smile. That's why they open with that soft, casual question. And once they see that she didn't shut them down, they get bolder. The next compliment is stronger. The next question is more personal. The smile gets more intentional. But if the woman never understood the first hint, she won't understand the next ones either. That's why so many older women stay unaware that they're being hit on. They don't see the strategy. They don't recognize the flirting. They don't know that question wasn't small talk, it was an invitation. Young men ask it because they see something in her they want to get closer to, even if she hasn't realized her own magnetism yet. When a young man approaches an older woman, the most surprising thing is how different his intentions are from what she assumes. Most older women think these boys are just being polite, casual, or talkative. They think he's simply friendly or maybe a little playful because he sees her as someone safe to talk to. What they don't see is that young men don't waste their energy where they don't feel drawn. Young men don't walk up to every woman with the same smile, the same tone, or the same choice of words. If a young man is choosing to talk to an older woman, it's because something about her energy, presence, or confidence caught him off guard. He noticed something, her poise, her calm, the way she holds herself, or simply the quiet glow of self-assurance that only comes with age. But because he doesn't want to appear too strong or scare her off, he uses a softer approach. Older women often misinterpret this because they're used to a different style of flirting from men their own age. Older men are more direct. They say what they want. They're bold, sometimes blunt, sometimes a little pushy. But young men, they don't flirt that way. They flirt through curiosity. They flirt through questions. They flirt by studying how she responds. They open conversations with lines that appear harmless. How's your day going? Is that your favorite coffee? You always shop here. They disguise interest as friendliness, so the woman never suspects anything deeper. And that is exactly why so many older women miss it. They assume he's merely being respectful. But respect and attraction often come packaged together when a young man approaches someone older. Another reason older women don't pick up on these cues is because they don't expect to be seen in that way. Society is constantly telling them that youth is the only stage where a woman is admired or chased, that after a certain age, she becomes invisible to the world. Yet what many older women don't know is that younger men are often more open-minded about who they're drawn to. They aren't stuck in the idea that only younger women can be attractive. Many young men actively prefer older women because they carry themselves with a stability and strength that younger women are still developing. There's something magnetic about a woman who knows what she wants, who speaks with clarity instead of confusion, who isn't trying to impress anyone. Young men notice that. They don't say it out loud, but they feel it instantly when she enters a room. Young men also understand that older women are less likely to fall for games. That's why they tread carefully. They watch for her reaction. If she smiles politely, he'll go a little further. If she seems uninterested, he'll back off. But not because he didn't mean it, only because he doesn't want to disrespect her space. But if she looks surprised or flattered, that's when he knows he has a chance. The whole interaction is a quiet dance, one that she rarely even realizes is happening. Young men don't come charging in with the usual bravado they use with younger women. They step in gently, like someone trying not to disturb something precious. This softness is what confuses older women the most. It doesn't feel like a flirt. It feels like kindness. It feels like a compliment wrapped in innocence. What she fails to see is that the softness is intentional. It's strategy. Another layer older women overlook is how observant these young men can be. They notice details older women assume no one pays attention to anymore. The way she does her hair, the elegance in her posture, the confidence in how she speaks. They see things she might have stopped seeing in herself. And when a young man compliments her or asks that subtle, seemingly innocent question, he's not trying to be friendly. He's opening a door most older women walk right past without realizing it was meant for them. One of the biggest misunderstandings older women have is assuming that younger men see them the same way they see themselves. Many older women look in the mirror and focus on the little details, lines around the eyes, changes in the skin, silver strands of hair, believing these things make them less noticeable. But younger men don't see those things the same way at all. What an older woman thinks makes her less desirable is often the very thing that makes her stand out to a younger man. He sees elegance where she sees age. He sees confidence where she sees routine. He sees maturity where she sees responsibility. That difference in perspective creates a blind spot. And that blind spot is exactly why so many older women don't notice when a younger man is trying to get closer. Younger men today are far more observant than people give them credit for. They pick up on energy quickly. They watch how a woman moves, how she talks, how she manages her emotions. And older women, with all their experience, don't realize how much they're communicating without even trying. A young man sees an older woman who isn't rushing, who isn't glued to her phone, who isn't trying to prove anything. That stillness, that grounded presence draws him in. He notices how she raises an eyebrow when something surprises her, how she smiles when she finds something genuinely funny, how she talks with intention instead of impulse. All those small traits make her deeply attractive to him, even if she isn't aware of it. Young men also admire the emotional honesty older women carry. They know older women don't entertain nonsense. They won't play pretend. They won't laugh at something that isn't funny. They won't tolerate disrespect or immaturity. That level of authenticity is rare in younger women who are often still figuring themselves out. So when a young man meets an older woman who already knows who she is, he feels a kind of admiration he can't hide. But instead of approaching boldly, he approaches softly because he doesn't want to disturb that energy. He doesn't want to seem childish or reckless. So he uses gentle humor, soft compliments, and questions that feel casual. To her, it feels like a small conversation. To him, it's the beginning of something he hopes will grow. Another thing older women don't realize is how much a younger man prepares before speaking to them. He checks his posture. He adjusts his tone. He tries to speak more maturely, more respectfully. He wants to give the impression that he's not like other boys his age, that he's someone stable, even if he's still growing. This effort is invisible to the older woman who has no idea she's inspiring that level of focus. To her, he's just being polite, but to him, it's a moment he's rehearsed in his mind. The confidence she thinks she lacks is exactly what makes him nervous. He's trying to rise to the level he imagines she deserves. Even the way young men compliment older women is different. They don't compliment the things younger men usually focus on. Instead, they say things like, "You have a calming presence," or "You seem like someone who knows what she's doing," or "Talking to you feels easy." Those are not casual observations. Those are expressions of genuine attraction. But older women often assume he's just being respectful. They don't consider that the compliment is born out of admiration. The irony is that older women spend so much of their lives thinking men stop seeing them after a certain age. The truth is the opposite. Younger men often see them more clearly than men their own age ever did. But because the approach is gentle and the flirting is wrapped in softness, it slips right past them. They don't realize the young man isn't just talking, he's hoping. He's hoping she'll notice him the same way he's already noticed her. There's a moment that happens in these interactions that older women rarely notice, but it's the moment young men wait for. It's the shift in her expression when she finally pays attention to what he's saying. It might be a small smile, a quick glance upward, or even a surprised laugh. To her, it's nothing more than a natural reaction, but to him, it's everything. It tells him she's listening. It tells him she's open to the conversation. It tells him she doesn't view him as an annoyance. And because older women are generally warm, polite, and respectful, they give these reactions without realizing that they're sending quiet signals. A young man interprets those signals as mutual interest. He doesn't realize she's simply being kind. So the conversation becomes a dance of misunderstandings. She thinks she's being friendly. He thinks she's being receptive. Older women don't see themselves as mysterious, but to younger men, they are. There's a depth in the gaze of an older woman that younger men can't quite decode. It's a mix of wisdom, softness, and strength, a combination they don't often encounter. When she looks at him, even for a second, he feels seen in a way he's not used to. That alone can pull him in. Meanwhile, she doesn't think twice about it. She might glance at him because he's talking, because she's polite, because she's used to giving people respect when they engage her. She doesn't understand how powerful that small moment feels to someone who admires her. Another thing younger men often notice is how comfortable older women are in their own skin. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're not speaking loudly to stand out. They're not constantly checking their reflection or adjusting their clothes. That natural confidence feels magnetic. And because older women don't give off the kind of nervous energy younger women sometimes have, a young man approaches them with a different mindset. He's calmer. He's more deliberate. He chooses his words carefully. He tries to match her tone. That's why his questions sound thoughtful instead of childish. That's why he pays attention to her responses. He wants to show her he's capable of matching her emotional depth, even if he's still learning how. Older women often think young men only chase excitement or immaturity. But young men see excitement in stability too. They find thrill in mystery, not chaos. A woman who knows what she wants becomes incredibly appealing because she represents safety without boredom, depth without confusion. She doesn't need validation. And ironically, that's what makes younger men want to earn her attention even more. So when he asks her a subtle, playful question, he's not just flirting, he's testing whether he can exist in her world. If she responds warmly, it encourages him. If she responds neutrally, he gets nervous but still hopeful. If she shuts it down without emotion, only then does he back away completely. There's also an inner conflict young men face when they talk to older women. They admire the maturity, but they're also intimidated by it. They want her attention, but they fear they're not enough. They want to flirt, but they don't want to appear foolish. So the result is a controlled kind of flirting that older women often misinterpret as friendliness. He may compliment her choice of perfume or mention that she has a calming voice or ask a question that seems casual but is actually personal. These small details are significant to him. He's not trying to pass time. He's trying to create a connection subtle enough that she won't reject it, but strong enough that she'll remember him for a moment. In the mind of an older woman, she's just going through her day. But in the mind of the young man talking to her, that moment is meaningful. She might forget the conversation by evening, but he replayed it in his mind before he even walked away. And that's the part she never realizes, how deeply she can affect someone who saw something in her she didn't even see in herself. There's a quiet truth older women rarely acknowledge. They underestimate their own presence. They walk into a room and think they blend into the background, not realizing that to a younger man, they stand out without even trying. He notices the way she carries herself, not rushed, not loud, not desperate for attention. That calmness is something he's not used to. Younger women often display excitement or nervousness around men, but an older woman sits in her own energy, confident and steady. That alone can shake a young man because he doesn't have to entertain her or impress her. He just has to be genuine. And that authenticity, that softness in her strength is what draws him in deeper. In many cases, the young man won't even know why he's attracted at first. He just feels something shift when he sees her. Maybe it's the way she speaks with intention, or how she doesn't rush to feel silence, or how she listens with her full attention. Those qualities are rare in his social circle, and he's naturally drawn to the uncommon. So he approaches her with curiosity and admiration, but he hides it under casual questions to avoid seeming immature. When he asks her something simple, where she got her scarf, whether she reads often, or if she likes the cafe they're in, it isn't the question that matters, it's the invitation. He's asking for a moment of her time, hoping she'll offer even a little warmth in return. Older women, however, have lived long enough to take things at face value. They hear the question and assume he's being polite. They don't see the nervous energy he's hiding, the way he checks her expression for approval, the way he adjusts his voice to sound more mature. They don't notice how he leans in slightly when she talks, or how his eyes stay focused on her like he's genuinely absorbing every word. To her, it's just conversation. To him, it's a chance he rarely gets. And when she responds with kindness, not flirtation, it confuses him but also encourages him. Her kindness feels intimate, even though she doesn't mean it that way. There's also a subtle power older women carry that they don't recognize. Their boundaries are clear without being aggressive. A young man can sense instantly whether she's open to talking or prefers to be left alone. And that clarity draws him in even more. Because boundaries, when expressed with confidence, feel like respect rather than rejection. If she's not interested, she makes it known gently, without shaming him. If she is even slightly open to conversation, she offers a certain warmth that encourages him to stay. Either way, her maturity turns the interaction into something meaningful rather than chaotic. Young men often talk about older women differently when they're with their friends. They describe the conversations like they were lessons. They mention how calm she made them feel, or how she spoke to them with a steadiness they're not used to. And the part older women never realize is how much impact they have even in the smallest exchanges. A 5-minute conversation with her might become something he thinks about for days. Not because he expects a relationship, but because she gave him a sense of connection he rarely finds elsewhere. And when a young man finally works up the courage to give a more direct compliment, he still does it gently. He might say she has a peaceful energy, or that talking to her feels easy, or that she carries herself beautifully. To her, it sounds like appreciation. To him, it's vulnerability. It's him revealing that he sees her differently, more deeply than she realizes. And if she smiles or responds positively, he feels like he accomplished something significant. But if she brushes it off, he still walks away with respect, because older women don't owe him anything. The part she never sees is the shift she creates inside him. She leaves him thinking about her confidence, her presence, her maturity. She leaves him realizing that attraction isn't always about age or appearance, it's about energy. And even though she may walk away believing the interaction was simple and ordinary, he walks away knowing he just experienced something rare, something grounding, something that made him rethink everything he assumed about connection.